Let me introduce Mr. S.H. Abbas Mehdi. He is serving as Joint Director at Software Technology Parks of India, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India. Mr. Mehdi has done MTech with a specialization in software engineering degree from Motilal Nehru National Institute of Technology, Allahabad. Mr. Mehdi carries vast experience in the field of networking and has been occupied in providing consultancy to various projects and implementing IT infrastructure in the country with various schemes like India BPO Promotion Scheme, Northeast BPP Promotion Scheme, STP and non-STP and other various schemes issued by the Government of India from time to time. It is the result of the IBPS scheme that BPO has been established in many Tier 2 and Tier cities of the country for all inclusive growth across the country. He is strongly associated with academia by contributing as resource person, trainer, examiner, moderator, panelist, observer, and keynote speaker in various international and national conferences and seminars. He is also a member of many academic council and in advisory board of many institutions and universities. His interviews and articles pertaining to emerging technology like cloud computing, network security has been published in various technical magazines. I welcome our eminent speaker here in this online workshop. Before inviting our resource person, let me once again mention some guidelines to our participants regarding how the technical session will be conducted. The first session will be of 1 hour till 5 p.m. Then we will have a break of 10 minutes. After that, second session will start from 5:10 p.m. And once the lecture is over, participants will be allowed to ask questions. There are two ways in which you can ask questions. You may type questions in the chat box anytime during or after the session. And I will collect all these questions and I will ask those questions from our speaker in the end. The second way is that you can raise your hand.
Dr. Faisal, you have gone mute. Please unmute.
Session to inform to all participants that we are recording each and every lectures.
Yes, Dr. Faisal, you may continue now.
Okay, so this is to inform to all the participants that we are recording each and every lectures. Now it is over to Mr. S.H. Abbas Mehdi. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Faisal, for the introduction. Respected Chief Patron, Professor Tariq Mansoor Saab, Honorable Vice Chancellor, Aligarh Muslim University, Professor Mohammad Ashraf Saab, Dean Faculty of Science, Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh, Professor Asim Zafar Saab, Chairperson, Department of Computer Science, AMU, Professor Tamanna Siddiqui, Department of Computer Science, AMU, Aligarh, Dr. Faisal Saab, other dignitaries who have joined this virtual platform, students, faculty members, researchers, and all the participants through this virtual platform. I'd like to welcome you all, and it's an opportunity that I'm sharing on this platform because this topic is a topic which is concerned for not for the students, but the faculty members, researchers, and everybody. Because as we know that with the ingress of the pandemic in our life, we have been utilizing, we have been using computers, internet, mobiles very often. And this particular thing has given rise to lot of cyber crimes. I'll be discussing some of the traditional crimes and some of the crime which has been seen in this pandemics and how we can avoid that and what are the steps we have to take here. I think I'm not able to move the slides. Is it?
You again reshare it, sir. Stop sharing and then again start sharing.
Okay. Well, the first thing which comes to our mind is cybersecurity is a concern. So definitely it is a big and very big concern. The reason being is that with the use of mobile application, with the use of internet in our life, with the use of laptops, banking inclusions, where everybody is performing all the banking transaction through mobiles, laptops, cell phones, UPI, BMAP. So this has become a very, very, very important concern for all of us that whatever we do online, it is safe and secure. But if you see that the top financial breaches which has happened, if you see that is very, very alarming. The card system solution incorporation, which happened in 2005, that resulted in 40 billion credit card numbers being compromised. The JP Morgan in 2014, that affected 76 million household and 7 million small businesses. Personal informations rather than financial informations were leaked. Then TRW information system 1984, theft of credit file passwords gave access to credit histories of nearly 90 million people. Then Heartland Payment System 2008, system were hacked in the payment system processing firm that affected 130 million customers. And Equitax Incorporation 2017, which affected around 143 million accounts in the US, were compromised by data breach that involves personal information. The hackers also stole more than 2 lakh credit card numbers. So these are the recent cybercrime which was in news in the past decade. And this is the reason that the cyber crime and the cyber security is a top concern. And as per the venture, the cyber security venture predicts that cyber security damage will cost the world nearly 6 million annually by 2021 and 3 trillion up by, you can say, which was there in 2015. As more data are available in the digital form, it makes it easy to analyze and generate insight. But at the same time, it is highly risk and to security breaches as well. Now, if we see that why the cybercrime is different from the conventional crime, so it is done by the people who are highly educated, who are highly sophisticated, who are highly professional, who have in-depth knowledge of the technology. It is easy to commit. When we say that it's easy to commit, it means that you don't require a force, you don't require a particular, different teams as we see in the different kind of threats, physical threats. Okay, it is very, very difficult to detect because as you know that internet is a boundaryless world. So, and the biggest problem which we see that, for example, and a crime which is being done in India by somebody there in Nigeria or somebody sitting in the Sudan. So that crime is reported in India and is done in India is a crime, but may not be considered as crime in their country. So this is one of the biggest problem we face in the cybercrime, because the rule of the law of the region differ from country to country. And at the same time, it's very not easy to detect, because when the hackers they do a lot of spoofing because they disguise themselves, they hide themselves. Okay, so what IP address which we see while it is being, it is being used while hacking or, tarnishing or, for the unauthorized access, it is not the same. In fact, it is somebody else, IP address which is being used. So spoofing is done. So it is very, very difficult to detect and even harder to prove. You cannot prove it easily also. So you need a lot of, tools, you need a lot of, different technologies to catch them, to go to them, and to see from where that particular crime has been performed. So different types of the crime which is being done, we see that we have the major crime which is done is one of the financial crime which we have seen, that which includes cyber cheating is there, credit card fraud is there, money laundering is there, hacking into the bank server and stealing the information of the customer, including the credit cards number, the CVV numbers, the computer manipulation, the accounting scam where we, the hackers, reaches the accounting system of the particular organization, try to see the, budgeting details, try to see those secret file which is meant only for the organization people. So these are the crimes which we, these are the financial crime which is done. Malware, the threats, some of the threats we're going to talk about malware. When we say malware, it's basically a software that performs a malicious tasks on the target device or network. And the work it does that it corrupts the data or take over the system. And generally, malware, either when we visit a malicious site, we get malware, or when we download a particular, software from a site which is not legitimate, we get malware. Then we have another, kind of, you can say threat. This is called Trojan, which is named after the, Greek history with the, Trojan horse. So the, Greek invaded. They built a, wooden horse, and the people were thinking that it's an wooden horse, but inside there was a huge force, and they came out. The same things like Trojan. Trojan appears to be a very normal file to you. It can be an image. It can be an image of a very beautiful woman. But while downloading that image, you are also giving access to your system through a malicious code. So that system targets, finds out the loopholes, and then gives access of your system to the hacker. So this is also thing is there we generally see. Hacking is basically is the, we call into other terms, that someone who breaks into the system without permission. So any unauthorized entry into the government website, a commercial website, or the network can be termed as hacking. The reason for the hacking can be, monetary gains, stealing the information, maybe the credit card information, so that they can later use it, for funding purpose, for, stealing the information from the credit cards, defense information of a country, okay, defacing a website. Okay, so these all the reasons for the hacking. But we have a, cracker also. So the difference between hacker and a cracker is that if we say ethical hacker is basically one who finds the loopholes onto the system. So it is a stack. When we say hacker in the cyber crime, it is termed as a cracker. So cracker is a bad guy, where the ethical hacker is the one who finds out the flaws in the system. So how they work basically? So they work in two basically way. They crack the password. So when you try to log in onto the system, you need a password. So they try using special software. These are called password crackers. And they use different combinations. Okay, and they try to break into the system by putting all permutation and combination and try to break into the system. So in the dark web, lot of tools are available at a very cheap rate, and hackers do exploit this. Then vulnerability, they try to see that where the system is vulnerable, where is the loop, is there in the loopholes in the system, either in the operating system or on the application part or on the network part. Is there any port open? So these are the weaknesses in the system they see, and they try to enter the system. it's very, very difficult to trace them, because they do it not by their account, they spoof it and they do it by someone else's account. They even divert the port address. The port address which we see, it is not the one which is being used originally. It is again a spoofed one. The IP address is also a spoofed one. So it is very difficult to. So hackers make different ways to access the system. One of the commonly used method is Trojan. Okay, these are a small program, and basically, if a Trojan, for example, if it is a Trojan enters into your system, so what a Trojan will going to do is that it will going to identify and record all the keystroke you are using on your system. And definitely, if you are accessing a website, you are entering your username, password, everything. So that that keylogger or that Trojan, which is of this kind, records and sent to the hacker's website, okay, or hacker's source, so that he can later on access those websites, those database, those applications to the system of the organization or the person to gain financial access or any other motive which he has. Cyber squatting is also one of the crime which is also named as domain name hijacking. Basically, common examples are the reservation of the site, which includes the name of the celebrities and companies, and this also is categorized under IT Act. And people basically use take and steal the different names of the companies like ONGC, ITC Hotel, State Bank of India, and then they become the victim. Then these people become the victim of cyber squatting. So the main intention is that if I have a registration of ONGC website, so tomorrow if ONGC wants a website of their name, I would demand a very high price for that. I'll say that if you want this particular thing, but by this name, I demand a very high price, and this is how I'm going to earn the money. Software piracy is very, very common. Everybody knows that lot of software piracy is happening every day. People are not using the licensed version. People are not buying the licensed version. Cyber spamming, it is basically generally considered as the use of internet or email or electronic communication to stalk a person or harass a person. So this has also been termed as one of the cyber crime. If a person is being harassed through internet, email, or is being stalked, okay, so that is considered as a crime. Phishing, it's one of the very, very, very common act where a site appears to be a very genuine and legitimate site. It can be of a bank, it can be of an organization, and they nowadays what they're using is that they are giving a link, okay, onto the email, and the person thinks that this mail has come from his organization or bank, and when he enters the website, it looks very similar to their original website, but it is basically a replica of the original website. It's not the original website. And when person enters all the details, his credit card number, debit card number, so that information is being sent to the server of the hacker, and from there it is being used either for the identity theft or for the financial gain. So the email direct the user to a website where he uploads the information. So the number of bank which has been the victim of this phishing are Citibank, ABN AMRO Bank, HSBC Bank, many commercial websites like Amazon, PayPal has also been victim of this phishing. Mobile scams are also there, where a message is being received from an unknown number saying that you have won a prize and you can claim a prize by clicking onto a text. A lot of we also get a lot of information of this site from different people that somebody there in the sitting in the US, and they have given all their property to a person in India. but they fail to understand that why a person sitting in the US will give all their property to a person in India who he doesn't know. So, and for that, they said that you send me some amount to send that gift to that. They, because of the people, they do not know about this crime, they send money. They send a lot of money, in fact, thinking that the consignment or the gift will going to come back, but that gift never come back. So this is also a kind of fraud which is happening. In fact, in this pandemic also, people, when there was a shortage of medicine and other resources, there were scams where the people were getting calls, and there were the people claiming to be from the medical team, and they used to say that if you want this medicine, if you want this particular service in terms of medical, we're going to send you, I'm giving you this email ID, I'm giving you this bank details, please credit this much amount, and that particular thing will go to reach your home, but that never came. So people are exploiting this pandemic situation also to fool people. People are becoming prey of this. So these type of information has also reached the police department, and it has come to their notice also that these types of crimes has also happened during pandemic. Okay. Cyber defamation is basically when a website is defamed by some slogan or some kind of which is not appropriate. So this is also termed as a crime. Webjacking, just as a conventional hijacking of an airplane is done by using a force, similarly a jacking means forcefully taking over control of a website. The motive is usually the same as hijacking. They do it for the monetary or political purpose, which they try to satiate by holding the owners of the website. Email bombing is basically again one crime where a large numbers of emails is being sent to the victim, resulting in the victim's account. What we say that a victim account is not able to hold that much of storage capacity. Data diddling is basically changing the data prior to during an input into a computer. Basically, in other words, information is changed from the way it should be entered. So this is one crime. Salami attack, these are attack for committing financial crime. We have seen many salami attacks. Denial of service attack is basically flooding the computer or the server with so much request that it cannot handle it, and the result is that the server crashes. Okay, so we have seen that around 3-4 years back, even some servers where registration is to be done. Okay, so lot of when people try to access that server at same amount of time, so the server goes down, and the service is being is distorted. So this is also one of the example where the server could not handle, has a limit to access or to give access to that much of process. So if it goes beyond that, so it cannot handle, and that is the reason we have, if you've seen that while accessing, because generally what happens that this DOS attack is basically done by robots. Okay, that is computer programs. So for this, CAPTCHA is being developed that to make sure that the person who's trying to log in, who's trying to access the information, is not a robot, rather he's a human. So they use different CAPTCHA, which is of different haphazard words being formed together, or they will say you to select hills or traffic lights in a given image to make sure that the person who is trying to log in with the system or trying to access the system is a human, not a robot. Worm and virus attack is very, very common, and we all know that we have been some or other way has been victim of this, that our computer start misbehaving, the particular type of the file is changed to a different type, and ransom attack is also one of the example of this worm virus attack. Cyber terrorism, we know that as the terrorist activity happens in a normal scale, there is also a cyber terrorist activity also happens in a large scale where the intention is to disrupt the computer system on the network of the system. So they target the defense system or the missile system or the electricity where they can, dismantle or they can, destroy, a big, figure. So this is also seen. So yeah, there's a simple formula that if we want to avoid cybercrime, we have to find out the vulnerability. If there is a vulnerability that can be exploited, if we say in the layman's language, if you have a house and if you have not put lock in any one of the door, or if you have kept any one of the windows open, that is a vulnerability. Okay, and if that is there, the intruder or the thief can come into your house. So you have to make sure that the system, and when we talk about the internet especially, because there are a lot of things are used. Okay, we are exposed to number of things. We are accessing a website, we are accessing application, we are accessing third-party software, we are using different ways to access different networks, we are using VPN. So things where you are exposed in such a big environment, you have to make sure that your system is thoroughly secure. I'll be talking about how you can secure a system, but if you see that the technology do play a role in protecting the system, but beyond that, the human role is I think say it is on top of that. So if you see the crime history and the crime statistics of the cyber crime, 90% of the cyber crime happens because of the human error, and 10% of the cyber crime happens because of the technological, or you can say that the lack of technology or the vulnerability. So it is the human trust or the negligence, or we can say a social engineering, which has made cybercrime on top. Current impact of, you see the COVID pandemic, we have the businesses have gone from normal business center, and we all are using the facility of home with the facility called work from home. We are sitting in the home, so the challenge has become even more. Okay, because use of personal devices, you are using multiple devices to access your organizational server. So corporates are more the servers of the corporate are more exposed. Okay, so you have to see the proper deployment configuration, how which remote services are being accessed, VPNs, and all, whether you are using two-factor authentication, what kind of Wi-Fi you are using. Generally, we have seen that even if houses, okay, that Wi-Fi password we share with everybody. A guest comes in, we share it. Even for example, your engineer who fixes the Wi-Fi problem, he knows your password. So these are the different security breaches we have to see. So this is not technological issue. These are human errors which results in cyber crimes. So cyber criminals have been exploiting these, the fears which people have during COVID-19 pandemic. Because of this fear, different mails containing, different, in form of the news also. Okay, that there was a website which was found like that it was basically displaying the news that how many number of COVID cases are there in a particular district. So people used to access, but later it was found false. So number of such cases has appeared in the news and the newspaper also, where these cyber attackers are exploiting the people with their fears, and they are sending email, scam, phishing attacks. Okay, different links. Okay, different docs file, different video files to catch them, to get their personal information, to talk to them. Okay, so many people have fallen prey of this. If you say India impact, we know what happened with Cognizant. That was attacked with the novel Maze ransomware, where that their all files which were there on the system were encrypted. They were asked to pay a certain amount, certain huge amount. Okay, so to convert back those files into the readable format, and they will not, and there's no guarantee also. Even if an organization pays the money to this cyber criminals, so they may convert the file back, or they may not also. It is totally their wish. You are totally in their hand. So it's the situation is very, very risky. Okay, and the information they encrypted, and they found they contain very, very sensitive information of the customers, their data, their personal information, which are not to be shared, and they have signed a non-disclosure agreement with the company, and the company whole goodwill was on stake, and it was a very bad period for them. And the combination was that they encrypted the whole files, then they make a copy onto the attacker system, and then they extorted. Then they say, if you give us that much of amount, we're going to relieve these, we're going to send you back these files. Otherwise, we'll not only we will put it onto the social media, we'll put on the internet. So those sensitive information which is of the client, which is not to be seen in by anybody other than client in the organization, if it comes onto the YouTube or social media platform or internet, so it is not only the loss for that particular client, but it is also these sensitive information should not be there on the internet. So this is what the problem was. That so that was a very, and you won't believe that this has not happened because of any technological error. This has happened because of the human error. This is not because of the technological error. It is the basically we have a tendency of leaving our system open, our email open. We just put off our monitor and we go home. But have we ever thought that how risky it is? And people of all the organization do this, and they keep in their if you see in your mobile, you might have given access to your email that it is open all the time. Okay, automatic login. What you say is that. So if your phone gets trapped, anybody can log in onto your Gmail or onto the system, onto your email. So we have to, we are the one who are negligible. We are the one who have not been, handling it properly. So that awareness has to come to everybody, because somewhere technology cannot play a role. But if it is a human who is not, doing the due diligence, there only the problem comes into picture. So some of the example I'll be taking of the cyber attacks, it can be, what we have heard of SQL injection. So SQL injection is also a kind of attack which we have seen. That what happens that there is a website which asks for number of data from the user. So what we say that it asks from the username, it asks the age, all things of that sort. So it asks for example, the customer ID, which can be considered as a primary key for finding the information of a customer. So if a person injects a SQL query in that, so and if that is not taken care by the developer, that is one of the vulnerability, and that can be can be very, very severe. So I've given a small example that, for example, selling a star from a customer where the customer ID is 1 2 3 4 5 6 7. Okay, so this is what the general SQL query which is there if a user want to find out information of a customer whose customer ID is 1 2 2 this. So in the column where the customer ID is need to be put in, he puts delete star number of customers where I equal to I or 1 is equal to 1. That will be definitely a binary logical thing. So this will be a nested SQL query, which will go to the database, and all the information may get deleted. And if you think of a bank, if you think of a financial institution, if you think of a university database where a lot of information is being kept, so if this thing has not been taken care by the developer while making that application, it can create a huge loss, and it can be a very high vulnerable thing. And these are the things which cyber hackers exploit, and this is how they make attack. Broken authentication. Broken authentication refers to the vulnerability or the weakness we see in the online platform or application that allows a hacker to bypass the login security and gain access to all the privilege owned by a hacked user. So basically, one of the example, if you see of the broken authentication example, is session hijacking. As I've just spoken before, that we have a tendency of leaving a system unattended and going for a loo or somewhere else, a meeting. And so what happens that if your session ID is being used by a different person, he can gain all those access which you have been given the privilege. So this is one of the example which is again a kind of a human error, which is being generated by human, which we have seen that this where these type of crime occurs. And password spraying is basically we try to through social engineering or through we generally have a habit of keeping very weak passwords. For example, we keep ABC123, admin123, okay, like 123456, okay, XYZ123. So these are the passwords which are very vulnerable, and that is the reason most of the time it is being said by a number of security experts that if you have to keep a password, it should be of at least 8 number of characters, which should have a combination of special characters, a number, alphabet, and one of the alphabet should be capital letters. Why this is being said? To make it strong. Okay, if they are using password spraying, these are the software which uses different number of combination and permutation and combination to gain access onto the system by this. So that the more complex the password is, the more difficult it is to gain access onto that. Then we have credential stuffing. Is based on the observation that many users reuse the same password and username at multiple places, and it is I think it has been one of the example of many of us that you use same password at multiple places. Maybe your Gmail have the same password, maybe your banking site have the same password, maybe your other app, using application may have the same password. Please, if you are having this, please change it. I know it is difficult to manage, but what you can do is that you can either store in a physical form somewhere the different password which you have noted down on different sites, or you can have a encrypted file which you can store onto your email having the different password of different website. That too not in a text form, but it can be used something like that, $$123 in between your password, then $$123. So you can understand by your combination that where your password lies. So if you're storing as a text message onto your email, even that is a vulnerable. So what you can do, you can store in this way. You can devise out the way you want to store it. Okay, you can devise a formula that where your password will go to lie after third number of position from the starting fourth or fifth. So in this way also you can have different password and you can keep a copy onto the email and it can be secure. But having the same password being used at multiple places, you are putting yourself at huge risk. Then we have a phishing attack. As we all know that broken authentication phishing attacks is also possible if we try to get access of your session ID, I can log in onto your website and have the phishing attack. Then we have sensitive data exposure. Basically, sensitive data exposure occurs when an application or a company or any entity inadvertently exposes personal data. So sensitive data exposure differ from data breach in which an attacker access and steal information. This can be a result of multitudes of things such as weak encryption, or they can not be any encryption, or it can be a software flaw, or someone mistakenly uploads a data onto an incorrect database. So this is also one of the way the information can be hijacked. Security misconfiguration. Security misconfiguration are nothing but security controls that are inaccurately configured or left insecure. Because we have the whole system on this. So putting your system and data address, basically any purely document configuration changes, default setting, or even technical issue across any component in your endpoint can lead to misconfiguration. So basically, attacker do see this kind of information and attempt to exploit these unpatched flaws or access account, unused pages, unprotected file, directory. These are the things to gain access to a knowledge or to the system. Security misconfiguration can happen at any level of application stack, including network services platform. It can happen at web server. It can happen at application server. It can happen at database framework, custom code, pre-installed machine, okay, storage. So automated scanner are useful for detecting misconfiguration, and use of default account or configuration, unnecessary services, legacy option. What happens? We have seen that we have a habit of leaving a particular system in a state which it should not be there. So these are the risks which exposes to cyber attacks. So such flaws frequently give attackers unauthorized access to system data or functionality. Occasionally, such flaw result in a complete system compromise also sometimes. Cross-site scripting is basically nothing but it's a client code injection attack. Basically, what happens that when an attacker aims to execute malicious script onto a web browser of the victim, so it basically injects a malicious code on through a web page or a web application. So the attack occurs when the victim tries to visit that particular web page or web application that executes that malicious code. That web page or web application becomes a vehicle to deliver the malicious script to the user browser. And this is what the cross-site scripting is about. So the attacker tries to perform malicious action. It can be to hijack account, to spread a worm. Worm can perform an activity trying out to do a port scanner, scanning your port, scanning your loopholes, whether any port is open, whether any port is unattended, what kind of different vulnerability which can be traced out. Okay, so this information is being sent to the hacker. Access the browse history and the clipboard component. Clipboard basically where what we do generally happens that we try to reuse the same thing by Control C, Control V. This is in our habit. So what happens that it all goes and gets saved on the clipboard. So he tried to access what are the different websites you people have access. Okay, that particular person, organization has access. Okay, so try to get information through the cookies or the history or the clipboard. We can control the browser remotely. We have seen sometime it happens, and we can scan and exploit in internet appliances and applications. So what are the different devices which are particularly connected to that system? What are the different applications which are installed? And what happens that is a reason that a system audit is very, very much required. The reason being is that what happens that every operating system, generate a kind of a, patches from time to time. And these patches are to be deployed from time to time onto the system. But what happens that if there is a delay, or if we do not, upgrade, or we do not configure those patches where there is a vulnerability found onto the operating system, that's became one of the loophole or leaking or weakness in the system. And there where these hacker exploit. So this is also one of the reasons you can say. To keep safe from the cross-site scripting, you have to sanitize your inputs. Your application code should never output data received as input directly by the browser without checking it for a malicious code. So IDS is we're going to do that. So if we have IDS, definitely cross-site scripting will going to be. Insecure deserialization. We know that when a developer developed the application, especially he used serialization and deserialization, because a lot of codes are stored in different in the form of from the binary to the ASCII, from the binary to XML code. So different kinds of formats are being used to store the file onto the different servers or databases. So serialization and deserialization happens. But what happens then? A deserialization happens, and if it is not secure, so this becomes an insecure deserialization, and that is where the vulnerability comes into picture. So this untrusted data can be used to abuse the logic of an application, inflict a denial of services attack. It can be used to execution of a remote code. It can be used to for a path traversal. So the path can be changed so that instead of storing onto the original database, it is getting stored onto the hacker's database. Or authentication bypass, where the bypass it can bypass the authentication, so it will not going to ask user and password. So this serialization and deserialization are common practices. So we have to make sure that while developing the application software, thus deserialization has to be happen, and that code is to be used in a secure manner. So use a monitoring tool such as Detectify or Threat Stack to monitor deserialization and set notification for common vulnerability component, or we can run a security scan regularly. Using component with known vulnerabilities. I think the information security audit, is the one which do see this at the first very phase. Okay, what happens that we have in fact, I should say the organizations which tend to upgrade, which do not upgrade their servers, which do not upgrade their system, are at a huge risk of this. What happens if a particular server has been given that end of sale or end of life? So if we still using that particular server, we are at high risk. And that happens at many organizations. I myself have seen that they are using system servers or even web server which are totally end of sale or end of life. And when a server is being declared by the OEM end of sale, end of life, so they do not generate any kind of patches for that. And when they do not generate any kind of patches for that, what happens that if there is a vulnerability found in that particular server, it is not taken care, and that can be exploited by the intruder. So many organizations do not upgrade their servers, do not upgrade their system time to time, and the server or the system becomes end of life, end of sale, end of support. And because of this very reason, a lot of vulnerability comes into that, which can be exploited, which can be used by these hackers. So all the people who are involved in networks, who are involved in maintaining the network, must see that the system, that the networking component they are using is not end of support, end of life. Example, if you have seen that Apache server has given onto the website that Apache HTTP 1.3 has no more release since 2010 and should not be used. Now, if somebody is using this server and if he's vulnerable and some attack has happened, so the you cannot make the OEM responsible at all, because OEM has given in his website, is given a public notification that you should not use this server because we have declared it as end of support. So this one, the network people should see that those servers, those particular system which are declared end of life, end of support, should not be these. The reason is very, very thin, because every day we are getting new vulnerabilities, and these system which are within the support limited, their new patches are formed by the experts, and that is released so that can be configured, and so that that particular vulnerability can be taken care. So those who are end of sale, those release are not happens, and they are very, very much exposed to these attacks. If you see the news Google has published, the Google system spotted over 18 million phishing attacks recently during the COVID-19 daily. System have also spotted malware-laden site that pose as a sign pages for popular social media accounts, health organization, and even official coronavirus maps. During the past couple of weeks, our advanced machine learning classifier have seen 18 million daily malware and phishing attacks related to COVID-19, in addition to more than 240 million COVID-related spam message. That is the Google blog I'm reading about. So you can imagine that what kind of malware, phishing attack, different type of things are happening daily in the cyber world, and you would be knowing that there's a dark web. Apart from the normal web, there's a dark web. So the the intruders or the attackers, they try to find out software. They try to use this software which are available in the dark web, and they send messages, emails to 20 lakh people daily. And even if in the 20 lakh people, if even 5 get trapped, their money is utilized. So that is what they're thinking, is that to save yourself, the only way is to aware yourself. If you are aware only, then only you can be saved. Because we have seen in this pandemic people that not only the people from villages, not only the people from remote areas, but naval officers, people from DRDO, people from scientists, universities, they have been found prey of cyber attacks, of financial frauds, OTP scam. Recently we have seen that one of the person retired class A gazetted officer, he got a message from income tax people, that he showed to us that you have your return which you have filed has been filed successfully, and your we do happen that we some of the amount we do sometime if we pay more to the income tax department, so there is a return also which comes from the income tax department. So he got a message that so much amount will be returned by IT department to you. Kindly log on to the particular link and share your bank details so that we can send you the money as soon. Now, it's very, very lucrative and luring message. Anybody say that, okay, it's a very genuine message from income tax department where I've, filed my income tax. Now some amount has to be given back from the income tax department because I paid more tax. Okay, so I'm waiting for that. So he went and he, whatever the entries were given, he blindly, wrote onto those forms. And within 10 minutes, he got multiple, messages, and 5 lakhs from his accounts were deducted. And it is very, very difficult to trace it out. What happens that these people who do this financial frauds, they either, do purchasing on behalf of the customer from multiple, different website, or what they do is that they convert this money into very, very, very small amount, and they do credit into multiple accounts. So traceability becomes very, very difficult. Even, bank people are finding it's very difficult to trace it also. Though it is highly recommended that whether anytime if you, encounter any kind of financial fraud, you report immediately to the bank, file an FIR to the, cyber police, and you also can report into the cyber cell of Government of India. You can also report into the certain, that is Computer Emergency Response Team. Okay, you can also report onto the, different website which is there given by different state government for reporting this. But still, it is not an easy job. As I told you, that this cyber crime is easy to commit, but very difficult to, find. So I think with this note, we can stop here for, as the host has told me, for a 10-minute break. We can come back after 10 minutes. Can we have Dr.
Sure, Abbas sir. We will again meet after 10 minutes at 5 hours 10 minutes. Then we will continue for our next session.
Right. So taking a break of 10 minutes and you can have, drink a coffee or tea at that moment of time. Okay.
Okay. So participants, you are requested to stay here, and we will start the next session from 5:10.
Yeah, is everybody available? Shall I start?
Yeah, sure, sir. You may carry on.
Well, so I'll be talking about what are the different crimes which has come up in this pandemic. So one of the things which we have seen is that people are given fake job offers. So it has been seen that with the growth of information and communication technology, and people are getting unemployed, more and more online job offers is being given by the cyber criminals. So these tricks are being used and these scam is used, and they are trying to lure the people. And not when you apply for a job, basically, so anybody will tell that, okay, give your biodata. Okay, so if you see what does your biodata contain, or your resume, or your curriculum vitae, it has your personal information, your date of birth, your name, your father's name, your age, your local address, your real address, that is permanent address, your PIN code, your mobile number, your email ID, from where you did your 10th, 12th, graduation, master's, percentage, which company you have worked, what is internship experience, all things you have been given. So indirectly, you are sharing all your personal information. So what happens? How they are using it? So there are two kind of people. So some of the things people think that if a particular job company is not asking for money, they are real. No, it cannot be also. They may be and may not be. They may steal your personal information, and with this personal information, they can just call you also. I'm talking to so and so person. You belong to so and so place. You became very confident. Yes. So then they start talking friendly way, and then they steal your information. So this is how it happens. Or in the some way also, they try to lure you by asking you to pay an amount of money, either for the training they will going to conduct in future, or for a kind of as a service charge for getting you the job, or taking you to that organization. Okay, so these lot of this particular type of scam, these cyber attacks has been come up on this. Then people do not know that matrimonial site is also one of the has been thing for the cyber attacks also. So what happens that when a prospective groom or bride register himself or herself on a matrimonial site, so a lot of personal information is shared. Unlike from the job, you also share information like what is your height, what is your weight, what are your hobbies, okay, what you like, what you dislike, what kind of partner you are looking for, how what kind of job he should have, okay, or reverse way, what kind of a bride you are looking for, fair, okay, what kind of height you're looking, what kind of qualification you want, a housewife, you want a person who is having a job. So these all a great amount of personal information is being shared, and not only your family background also. What does your father do? What does your mother do? Your financial status, your grandfather's status, your grandmother's status. Okay, somebody also shared that my mamas and mommy are in this position. Chacha and chachi are there. You have 3 chachas, you have 3 chachis, you have 4 mamas, you have so many, in-depth details are being shared. So if a site is, fake, so this personal information, if they are taking it, they may misuse it. So it is always a word of advice for all the people, students who are registering on a matrimonial site. Please make sure that the matrimonial site is genuine. Please don't fall prey, because this has been a lot of cases has come with respect to this. So if you're asking somebody in a matrimonial site, so if he's asking for a meeting, always meet in a public place, okay, and ask enough question. What happens that these days there has been computers talking to people. So in that way, if you ever think that a computer is talking to me, so try to pose a question which is mathematical. Okay, what is 2 plus 8? If he's able to give answer as 10, then definitely he's a human. If he doesn't, definitely you're talking to a robot. So these things, okay, you have to be very cautious. You have to be very aware, because the only thing to combat this cyber crime is to make yourself aware. If you're not making yourself aware, means you can fall prey of this. So personal information, as I said, unless you find it very genuine, do not share your personal information. And generally share only very minute information. And when you see that with this particular proposal, you can go ahead, and with the permission of your parents and elders, you can share the personal information only after meeting the person. Okay, so everything cannot be online. Okay, especially matrimonial, when there is a commitment of life. Okay, so you should not trust everything online. Always try to meet in a public place, or try to invite their parents, or to your home, or public place. So these are the some of the tips you should take care. Or never share sensitive personal information and photograph. Like if somebody is asking your Aadhaar card, your salary slip, okay, or your photographs, okay, So you should, while chatting, you should just make sure that you should form a limit that where you have to share and what you have not to share. So that sensitive information, you understand what is the meaning of the sensitive information. So you should not share. So information where for which can be used as a fraud, which can be used, to gain some kind of financial gain, should not be shared. Second thing is that never entertain any request for money. So basically, for example, if the matrimonial proposer is asking that, okay, send me that much of money, this, that, I want to come, something like that. So just find out whether that person is genuine or not. Be cautious with dealing with Nre profiles. This is very, very important because a lot of cases has been, reported, especially in the state of Punjab, where, Nre people have, cheated Indian, girls, because they don't have a genuine job, they don't have a genuine family, but, a lot of cheating cases have been reported. So everything, we have to find out, you have to be very careful. So these are some do's and don'ts. If a person is selected to come on a video chat or meet in person, so he can be a fraud. Okay, so because if you think that a profile picture which is posted on the matrimonial, it is his picture, you have to make sure that a person should come on a video chat or in-person meeting. Okay, so you cannot just see a photograph and you can rely that this is what the person is. Second point is that a fraudster may express our love in just a very short span of time. So one has to make very sure. Okay, usually call from multiple different numbers. So it has been seen that fraud people are calling from different numbers, not from one numbers. Or never picks the phone when the would-be bride or would-be groom calls. So these all things can be taken care. If a person inquires more of your financial status or in very initial stage of interaction, then that person is very, very doubtful. So if a person is having a social media, doesn't have a social media account or have a very few friends on the social media, so that is also one of the doubt thing. Because nowadays, if you have a social media account and if you have done, at the level of graduation or at post graduation level, maybe you have tend to have around 50 to 100 number of friends in your list. So if you are having some person who is having just 6 or 10 number of people, then there may be doubt that he may be a fraud. So these small things you should take care. Then comes to social media platform, which is everybody is now on the social media, whether it is Instagram, whether it is on Twitter, Facebook, or different other social media platforms are there. So everybody is there sharing the information. So you have to take little precautions. So here are some of the important steps you should take here while sharing your information onto the social media platform. But do not accept friend requests from strangers onto the social media. And this is for both boys and girls. Okay. So basically, if you do not know, because generally what happens that at the age of teenagers and at age of student, we feel very good, happy, to boost that I have so many friends in my friend list. There's nothing to boost. What original friends you are having, you should know them. You should know them personally. If there is an X person added in your friend list, you should know that who is that X person, where he lives, where he belongs, what is his phone number, who is his parents. Okay, the number will not going to give you any importance. Okay, so if you know a person very well, then only you accept you as a friend. Do not trust online users unless you know that you can trust them in real life. Do not share your personal information such as address, phone numbers, date of birth onto a social media, because identity theft can easily, because basically what happens that I've seen people, this has been reported also, that people write, their personal details on the chats, public chats. Okay, somebody has posted a picture and they can write, okay, contact me on this number. So I also want to go to this place. This is a nice place. So please do not share your personal information, especially your number, phone numbers, addresses onto social media platforms. Okay. Do not share sensitive personal photographs. Okay. Do not share your vacation and travel plans. There has been cases where people, it has been, sharing their vacation plan onto the social media. For example, on this day I will be on the, go to Paris. On this day I'll be, visit this place. On this day I'll visit this place. Why you are telling in your social media platform? If you want to tell with your friends, you can tell them or call them personally. Social media platform, if you are telling these things, means that you are inviting people that at this point of time you will be here. And if you are traveling outside India, you are a foreigner. And if something happens, means you are telling everybody on the net that you will be traveling this places, and at that time you will be there. So please take care. You should not reveal these personal information onto the net. Do not allow social networking sites to scan your email. Okay, so generally you get links of that. For your friends, and if somebody is sending some spam mails, please you do not open unless you know. Okay, because the spam mails is usually contains malicious software. It contains malicious codes which may run at the background of your computer, and there has been a cases uh, that your webcam and your speakers, your mics can be in the hand of others through this malicious code. Always keep location services turned off on your devices unless necessary. This is very, very important. We with the use of Google Map and all those things, we never think that okay, we have to turn off our location. But please, when you're not using these services, please turn off your Google location. Why you want to share with everybody? Do not download third-party application. This is very, very important. Generally, we do all those things. Do report if somebody posts offensive content. Do not share or forward unverified post or news. Generally, we generally do not verify a news or post, and we just keep on sharing on the WhatsApp. Please see that the news is verified or not. Government of India initiative for cyber security, establishment of NCIIPC, you know that what it is, and we have, the Government of India has established Cyber Switch Change. It's basically a botnet cleaning malware analysis center. Basically, it is, you can get it on the certain website, and with that you can do the malware analysis, whether any malware is there on your system or not. It issues alerts and advisory regarding cyber attacks and its measures. You have multiple Government of India website, especially certain which time to time generates alerts and advisory that what kind of attacks is there which can harm the computers. Issue guideline to CSIO regarding their key roles, responsibility for securing application infrastructure and compliance. Website audit, this is very, very important. Generally, many organizations do not do it, but website audit is very, very important. Basically, will protect you from defacing a website. Crisis management plan, okay, training and mock drill. Training and mock drill basically see that what kind of this is basically certain do take online session on this, so people can use it. Go and officers involved in social security, maintaining security can take this training. Tools which are available is USB Pratirod is there, which has launched in government. Union IT and Electronic Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad ji, former Union Minister Ravi Shankar Prasad ji, is aimed at controlling the unauthorized access of removable USB storage media device like pen drive. Or an app by the name of Samvid has also been introduced. It is basically a desktop application, whitelisting solution for Windows operating system. Kavach, it's a device for security of Android mobile device, has also been developed. It provides protection against issues related to malware, that is steal personal data information, credential, misuse of Wi-Fi, Bluetooth resource. And then we have browser. JS Guard is a tool which serves as a browser extension which detects and defends malicious HTML and JavaScript codes. And through the web server, based on the heuristic, it alerts the user when if he visits a malicious web page. Provide detailed analysis of the threat report. So what are the prevention one has to take during the pandemic? This is, I'm talking with respect to the not only from the organization point of view, but from the point of view who our organization is giving a facility for work from home for their employees. So one of the important feature when we see as a cyber security expert is that geofencing at perimeter. Basically, what happens that if your particular clients are in India or in US, so just make sure that those IP address of the country you are dealing with are open, and the IP address of the country which you are not dealing with are blocked. For example, if you are a company, a software company, and you have clients in UK and you don't have any client in US, so block the US IP blocks. Then you have two-factor authentication. So if a particular user logins onto the system of a server, so basically you can have a two-factor authentication. One is that he can get an OTP onto his mobile to make sure that the person who's logging is your employee, nobody else's. Okay, so this will reduce the crime. So it will just make sure that he is the one who is logging. Okay. You can have multi-functional authentication as well if you have a critical system. Then employ brute force protection. Brute force protection is nothing but basically you are deploying where a system is trying to access the particular system again and again. So if you deploy that, if there are three numbers of he has given wrong password, so you will block that particular username for 24 hours. So basically, if you see that Amazon has done this, okay. So if you go and give three numbers of wrong password continuously for 3 times, they block. So the same thing can be done at the organization level. So this also because if we are using up password scanners, or if you are using that some kind of tool where you are putting the permutation and combination of the password, and they are trying to gain access to the system. So this brute force protection will go to help. Extensive log monitoring. This is very, very important. People in the network security would be knowing this, that every server has a log, and that log has to be monitored. They have to see that is there anything which is which they can see which is they have not heard of, or some log which is showing very different behavior, or they are trying to see that some port is open which they have not opened it. So log monitoring is very, very important of the server. These log will going to tell you that what are the traffic which is coming into the system and what kind of traffic which is there. So this log will going to tell a lot of the traffic activity which is going on your server. Time-based access for work from home. Basically, if you have given work from home permission for the employees, so you can always put a time-bound manner. For example, if they have the 8 hours working, so that particular username and password should be active only for the 8 hours span of time. It should not be for the 24 hours span of time, because this will again protect your system. Mandate password change every week. This also you can deploy in your organization, that you have a habit of, all the employees have a habit of changing the password every week, so that you have a greater level of protection. With the advent of pandemic, we have Zoom coming in our life, and a lot of meeting is having with the Zoom. Though people are thinking that Zoom is not secure, but Zoom himself have given some advisory that what security you should take to make sure that you are safe and secure. The first, it gives that use a unique ID for large public Zoom calls. So that is one. Second, that it's if you have a meeting, it's required. It should have a meeting password. The third is that there should be a waiting room where you only allow only people who you want to allow. Okay, so you should not allow any external or person you have not invited. Only the host should share their screen, so everybody should not have the privilege to share the screen. Create an invite only meeting. You can also instead of creating anybody can join, you can just send the invitation to the particular user who intend to join the meeting. So that also you can do. That is a kind of a VIP meeting. Look, a meeting once lock a meeting once it started. You can just lock a meeting, means that at this point of time nobody can enter. So even if it is a genuine user, if he wants to enter, he cannot enter because you have locked it. So in this way, you can just make sure that no third person, no intruder, or no unauthorized access has there on the meeting. Kick some out of the meeting if you think that he's on hold or he's not supposed to join the meeting. You can kick out. Disable someone's camera. Okay, so you can disable the camera whom you do not want to you think that his camera should not be given access. Prevent animated GIFs and other files in the chat. So that you can do as a host. Disable private chat. Private chat can be disabled, so we cannot write anything onto the chat boxes. So basically, when we talk about the security, the three pillars are there, which is there for the security. One is the people. So what should be done at the people level? Staff training and awareness. This is one of the most important features, because no doubt you deploy a lot of technology. You even deploy state of art infrastructure, IT infrastructure. If you won't train your staff, if you won't make them aware, if you won't make a policy of you're not able to gain good security things. So you have to make a policy. Policy can be in the form of password protection policy, changing the password, how many characters should have, policy that if you go out of your room or place, you should lock your system. You should log off from your particular mail. So these policy has to be given. It has to be given to all the users, and they should follow it. Professional skills and qualification. Their skill has to be upgraded because new tools are coming, new technology is coming, new threats are coming every day. And to deal with those threats, to deal with those technology, and to deal with these tools, they should be, they should be upgraded with trainings. And not only training can be given in-house, but there are, different government bodies which provide free of cost training. CERT-in is one of the example, which provide periodically, trainings to the, network security officers. Competent resource. This is one of the important thing, that resources available. Process, the management system, the framework, the best practices, and the last is very, very important, which many of the organization do not take care, is the IT information technology audit. Audit is very, very important, because if I say that your system is secure, you will say yes. But if I try to, intrude your system from outside, then I will say whether your system is secure or not. So basically, we have different kinds of testing. One is VAPT also, which you have heard of. Basically, where the system is being tested from internal as well as external environment, and threats are imposed on that system, and to see that whether there is any loopholes, where there is any lacking is there on the system, whether the system is secure or not. Technology do play a role. Technology is very, very important, because without deploying the right technology, competent people, and the process, this particular cannot be achieved. Long-term prevention strategy is that review your password policy. That you should have a password policy that should be with everybody, every user. That how many 8 characters or 12 characters or 15 character password you should have. They should change it monthly basis. Remove unnecessarily admin privilege. This is very, very important because what happens that in any all organization, people do retire, but their privileges is still there. Their email is still there. So these are the, vulnerabilities. Okay. People, for example, somebody has gone to another organization. So their email exists, email ID exists, their privilege exists. And for example, somebody is HOD, now he has moved to some other department, still that department privilege is there with him. So make sure that the person who is dealing with, so the admin privilege is given to that person only, not to somebody else if he has taken the other post. Make awareness to user not to click any suspicious email. This is awareness is only important because every day, even I get also, you would be getting also spam. You cannot stop the spam. Okay, so spam mail is there. Even your phone call, you get I think 8 to 10 calls a day where you can say it is a spam. So every day we get spam mails, spam calls. So you should be aware that you should not click the the URL of the spam. You should not click the messages which come and which give you a URL. So these are nothing but you are losing your you are inviting them for financial fraud. Always have an antivirus solution with updated signature. This is very, very important because this is the first protection which there is on the system. Conduct mandatory awareness session against known such as phishing. You can conduct a phishing session in your organization that if phishing happens, that what are the different solutions. You can deploy EDR solutions. Then prioritize patching of vulnerability and have latest patches applied on the operating system. So basically, if there is a vulnerability reported on our operating system, that OEM releases patches. So that patches has to be deployed periodically. Monitor for abnormal VPN login attempt. We know that while work from home thing has given privilege, VPN has also come in. So if any abnormal login is happening at VPN, so we have to monitor and we have to stop that particular port immediately. Identify and disable any unwanted services, because what happens that if you see the rights and privileges, either it is a Microsoft or anybody else, any other thing, we have given a lot of we have enabled a lot of unwanted services. So the services which are not used, it should be disabled. Block URL instructed from DOT MIT. This is very, very important. All the organization must go and see the certain site periodically and block the URLs which is being basically this is done at the ISP level, but still if you want also to block at your firewall, you can do it. Enforce multifunctional authentication that I've already spoken about. Implement virtual desktop environment for employee. Stay updated. This is very, very important because a new thing is coming, new threat is coming, you should be updated. Vulnerability and penetration testing I've just spoken about. This is very, very important for all the organization to this. Basically, this particular test referred to the inability of the system to withstand a hostile threat. If there's a threat which comes in, whether it will go into combat or it will fall prey. Okay, it will fall prey of that. So that is what this test will going to reveal at the end of the day. So experts are there who do this test to identify the vulnerability of the system. So this is a security assessment conducted to understand the vulnerabilities, and by this process, they identify and expose the different vulnerability which is there in the system, and then they rectify. Then penetration testing is also there. That is also a method for evaluating computer and network security, whether a computer network is is on cyber threat can happen or not. So they set some objective, and with that objective they try to intrude into the system from external as well as internal. So because threat can from be both the side. Generally people only see the external, but the threat can be from internal also. So how secure is your internal environment? That has also to be taken care. This already spoken about because VAPT is very, very important with that different cyber attack. So this is the guideline which is issued by Government of India that ensure that a website is security audited, and an audit clearance certificate issued by certain certified information security auditor before hosting in production environment by annually. the source code is changed. This is applicable to all government institutions as well as all the organizations. I think make sure that this particular guideline is followed. Use SL certificate site wide on all websites. The SL certificate should be at least 2048-bit SHA, 256 impression or higher. Ensure that SL certificate is valid and keep track of the certificate expiry date and take necessary action to renew and replace. This is the guideline being issued by Government of India, Ministry of Electronics and IT, and that is applicable for the government organization. That the website, if it is a public website, it should have these particular security place. So benefits of VAPT is that it is a comprehensive testing of applications and networks, identify the weakest link in the chain, eliminates false positives or prioritize the real threat, detection of attacks, paths missed out, secure the business logic, increase the return of investment on IT security. Community intelligence is very, very important because the network people, the people who are responsible for the network security, they should be aware that what is going on. So everything you cannot learn yourself. Okay, so community intelligence, that if some attack has happened anywhere in the world, in the globe, so you have to be updated. And before it happens to you, you should take care proper measure. So some golden rules of securing that there is no guarantee to get fixed. So if you happen to get different emails or SMS that you have won a lottery or some prince or princess has given whole property to you and you send so much amount and you get the consignment. So please don't fall prey. And you cannot. There's no shortcut to become rich. It's only hard work. Never send money or give out your details when you do not know the trust person at the company. Destroy personal information, shred document, credit card if it is not used or it has been expired. Log directly onto a website rather than clicking on the link provided. This is very, very important because we have a tendency that we just click on the link. Always try to go to the website, even if it is LIC website. Go onto the proper website and try to see that even if you're while paying the bill of your electricity, try to see that it is you are onto the right website. Never reply to a spam mail. This is very, very important even if you're trying to stop them. Always remember, scammers are cunning and clever. They know how to manipulate you to produce response they want. So there are different ways. Even in your chat box, they can be offensive. They can be, they can bully you. So they will try to, grab information. So you have to make sure that you do not fall prey. Legitimate bank and companies will not ask for your details via phone or email. That has always been shared by Government of India. Different, banks also say that please do not share your email, share your OTP, CVC, bank details via phone. Just because a company has well-designed website doesn't mean it is legitimate. So make sure that if you happen and you are doing any transaction, you show that that transaction is secure. For that, you need to make sure that there is a lock symbol and that it is HTTPS. So minimum you see at least these two things before making a transaction to any of the bank. Be suspicious if you are unsure about anything. Seek advice from family or police. Never get embarrassed by reporting a scam. If you spot a scam, report to the concerned authority. If some kind of fraud has happened to you, do report to the concerned authority. There are a number of ways. There are a number of sites are there, online and offline also. You can go and report if there is a fraud has happened. This is you can do always. So do not be ashamed. It can happen with anybody. Thank you. I'll take few questions before I move on, so that because I've got another meeting, so I'll take few questions and.
Thank you, sir. There were many questions, but let me take a few.
I can just read out some of them.
Yeah, so I'm reading them for you, and if you feel comfortable, you can also read from the chat, sir.
Okay. I'm just taking some questions from the chat boxes. Somebody has asked that what measure can be taken to minimize the impact of cyber attacks? Well, this question has been asked by Yatharth Jain. Okay, so Yatharth, basically, there are a lot of measures I've already spoken about. That authentication can be there, two-way authentication can be there. You should deploy IDS. IDS firewall, and while website audit should be there, IT audit should be there. These are the ways to make sure that you do not have any loopholes, you do not have any open ports, you do not have any kind of vulnerability in your system which can be exploited. So these are the ways to minimize the impact of cyber attack. You make sure that you have the right amount of the OS patches. The OS patches are installed, configured, and you have the right and updated antivirus. So these are the things talking all together, and you should be updated that what kind of threat is coming through a certain website. You have to go and you have to make sure that you're updating yourself on and off, so that what kind of new threat is coming. So these all and training is one of the most important thing. You have to get yourself trained with the latest technology, with the latest tool which is there. So that all you can see, and with this you can just make sure that the cyber attacks can be reduced. And awareness is the most important factor. I should say that the more you are aware, the more I should say that you have the less probability is that you can fall prey of this cyber. Somebody has talked that tell me any tool to encrypt all my password. Is being asked by Priyanshu Singh. Okay, Priyanshu, there are a number of tools available which are there. You can find out. Recommending a single tool will be favorism. So there are a number of tools are there. You can encrypt your password. And different multifunctional authentication is there. Two-way authentication is also there, through which you can encrypt your password. You can also keep a copy by, as I told you that you can keep a copy by in a Word file, and you can just keep a password to that Word file, and you can just keep a logic that putting $3 before $3, on the right side in between your password, something like that. So you have to devise which is most comfortable for you, because remembering all the password, it's really a difficult task. Somebody has asked that if website has a checkpoint to their input, and how can SQL injection can work. Basically, SQL injection, as I told you, that basically while taking the input from the form, if there is a vulnerability, for example, if the checking of the input is not happening properly, then a nested query of SQL can be penetrated, and that will going to play a role in accessing the server, or deleting the information, or modifying the information at the database or server. So this is what is to be checked out by the developer. The developer is basically responsible. So basically generally what happens nowadays that we try to developer try to give only the drop down. For example, if you have to fill your age, so they will drop down from 1 to 99, so you can select. The same way, even if you are trying to give the number of your customer ID, so they will be they try to go for a drop down also. If there's a drop down option is not possible, that particular input shall be scanned by the logic of the developer, that it should be in a fixed format. It should not have other things, so that it should not fall prey of SQL injection. Basically, somebody has asked that what is the difference between domain flipping and cyber squatting. Cyber squatting, as I told you, is nothing but for example, if a company is coming up in future, and that company is good. For example, it can be Zomato, or it can be some other like company. Okay, so Uber, or Ola. So if you try to get a domain name in those name, and you try to sell them at a very high price with a monetary gain, so that is basically cyber. This is what we talk about, domain flipping or cyber squatting. So this is what it comes into this category. Sir, could you list few research topic in security? Expect there are lot of research topic are available. You can Google it, you can see it, and you can just find out. You to the ACM journals also. A lot of topics are there. We have a center of entrepreneurship and center of excellence in for the cyber security at Mysore, and you can refer our website. There also a lot of things are happening, and this area is so much unexplored, I should say, that everything you can do in lot of that. So you can do at the firewall level, you can do at the application level, you can do at the network level. So a lot of research can be done, and it is endless, I should say. Well, for any query, Dr. Farhad Alam, you can always, I'll just try to share my email ID. It's abbas.mehdi@stpin. You can always contact me. You can always reach to me, and you can always ask if you have any kind of query, any kind of doubt. I'll always be available to reach at you. I am also there. The Twitter also. You can also post question on the Twitter. My name is SH Abbas Mehdi. You can search on the Twitter and you can post a question also. Well, new government bills aims at making social media companies more accountable and push them to solve issues related to the spread of offensive content, and that government is asking to share every individual data regarding to that offensive. See, these are the question I should not take up right at this moment, because what government is doing, it's I'm not a that is government domain, and government is giving advisory from time to time. I'm here to for any if you have any technical question, I'm here to answer that. So let's what government is doing, government is telling, it's giving advisory from time to time to all government institution. Okay, so how can I write my I have not written my you can just note it down. It's abbas.mehdi@stpi.in. Aftab Alam has sent me to share my contact details. So it is, you can always contact me on my email ID. It's abbas.mehdi@stpi.in. STPI stands for Software Technology Parks of India. Thank you so much, Aftab. For you can always contact me if you want. I think I've taken all the questions, Dr. Faisal.
Thank you, Abbas sir, for taking such an informative session. You took some time out from your busy schedule and delivered very useful information. You explained the key concepts and challenges of cyber crimes and their possible preventive techniques very clearly. You explained different types of attacks and the current trends in the cyber world. Now I request Professor Tamanna Siddiqui, coordinator of this event, to confer a certificate of appreciation to our esteemed resource person.
Thank you, Dr. Faisal. Can you hear me? Dr. Faisal, can you hear me? Okay, thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You are
Okay.
audible.
I express my sincere thanks to Mr. SH Abbas Mehdi, the Joint Director of STPI, Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, Bhopal MP, for his informative lecture on current trends of cybercrime and preventive techniques. I am sure our participants will be benefited from your valuable lecture, Mr. Abbas. It's an honor for me to present a certificate of appreciation to you. This certificate is a token of respect from the entire family of Department of Computer Science, Aligarh Muslim University, Aligarh. Thank you, Mr. Abbas. Once again, we are very thankful to you.
Thank you so much, madam. I
Please
thank all the distinguished faculty members of Aligarh Muslim University and all the researchers, faculty members, students who have joined this virtual platform. It was very, very nice interacting with you. And as I told, that sharing and awareness is the only way to combat this cybercrime. And basically, I hope that with this few slides, try to aware you that how we can protect, how can we secure ourselves from the cybercrimes in India.
Please accept this certificate from our side. Thank you, Mr. Abbas.
Thank you so much, madam. It's really an honor to accept this certificate. Thank you so much. Thank you all the dignitaries. Thank you the chairman. Thank you the vice chancellor, the head of department, and madam Dr. Faisal, everybody who is there on the dais. Thank you so much.
I thank you once again, Dr. Abbas Mehdi, on the behalf of Department of Computer Science, AMU Aligarh. The participants are requested to join day 3 sessions tomorrow at 4 p.m. Tomorrow, the resource person will be Mr. Vipin Gupta, who owns companies like Unit Solutions and Unit Labs Private Limited. He will be delivering the lecture on the topic, combating cyber threats through firewall, a practical demo. Also, the link of the online meeting will remain same for the whole 5-day workshop. So thank you everyone for joining us. Let's meet again tomorrow at 4 p.m. So it is now over from our side. You all are requested to join the tomorrow's session.